What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next I've got another unboxing. One of these is a really cool book that I was excited to pick up in a pretty nice condition. The other one, I honestly don't remember what's in this. I took it out of the original, like the bigger box that it came in, and I don't remember which one this is. So we're gonna open this together, see what books are in here. I'm sure it's something pretty cool. Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So like I said, I've got two boxes here that I'm going to open. I know there's a really cool comic in this one. I'm sure there are cool comics in the other one. So let's check these out, see what we've got here. Alright, I am cutting in from the future because I was reminded of what was in that box. It is a pretty awesome book. I recommend sticking through to the end and seeing what was in the other brown box that I picked up. Now, this is one that I picked up on Instagram. Actually picked it up through the consigner Instagrails, and I had actually just sold my copy that I'd had of this book because I had another copy before that I had bought off eBay, I don't know, maybe like 2 years ago. I'd always wanted a copy of this book, but it was really low grade. And so I bought another one because I thought it was going to be a little bit nicer. Ended up being about the same grade, and so I ended up deciding I was going to sell it. And so I just sold that, maybe a week and a half ago, and depending on when I put this video out. And so then all of a sudden this one came up for sale, and it is not a book that comes up for sale very often. It's not like a rare golden age book or anything like that. It's actually a bronze age book, but you just don't see it very often, and when you do, it's usually really, really beat up. And this one is actually in pretty decent condition, especially for this book. So for most Bronze Age books, this would actually be a pretty, I'd say a pretty poor condition book or a moderate condition book. But for this Bronze Age book, it is not. So, sorry, there's a lot of tape on here. So this first book, and it doesn't look like it's been pressed. This might be worth a resubmission. It really might. I don't know if it'll get a higher grade. Maybe has a chance at a half grade bump, which is a big deal in this book. So this is Scooby-Doo Number One. And if you are not familiar, this is the first appearance of Scooby and everybody else, Shaggy, Fred, Velma, Daphne, in comics. And so this is an adaptation of the TV show, and this book is extremely difficult to get in anything outside of like a 3. And so it gets very, very expensive very quickly. So to give you an idea with this book, a 5.0 recently sold for $1,800, a 7.5 sold for $2,600, and 2 years ago, a 9.2 sold for $6,000. And I guarantee you that book would sell for way more right now. The highest grade that's actually on the census is just a 9.4. There are no 9.6s, no 9.8s, because these books, I mean, they were designed for kids. You know, people were joking, they're probably sitting in things like dentist's office for a decade, you know, just getting beaten up by kids, you know, that would go in there and just flipping through it and throwing them on a counter, that kind of thing. And so they're just generally in really poor condition. And there are only 281 copies on the CGC census. So it is not a book that you come across very often, and especially because a lot of people would get this book graded. And so that's the thing. Sometimes you could say, oh, it's a false sense of rarity, people aren't getting it graded, but this book has a ton of value, and so people do get this book graded. And so that means a lot of them probably are graded at this point. I was kicking myself because it was just before the comic boom. There was a 6.0 or a 6.5 that was up for sale, and they had listed it at like $950 or something like that. And I sent an offer. I was just, I don't know, I shouldn't have sent an offer, I should have just claimed it. And I sent an offer at like $900 or $850 or something, and then while they were looking at my offer, someone else just outright claimed it, and so I never got it. So this is the first chance I've had to pick one up that's in a decent, presentable condition that it doesn't have a bunch of creases on the cover. So, and you can see why I think this one has a chance maybe to press to a higher grade. I mean, it does have some spine wear. That's the main concern I have with this, because you obviously can't improve that. But if you look at this, you see it's got this bend along the spine. That's called a stacking roll. It's from the books being stacked on top of one another for a long time. It puts this kind of like pressure dent on it. And then also, you see along in the middle there, it's got some bends that don't break color, and some little creases that don't break color all around the front of the book. So this is definitely one that I think could potentially see a bump. You can see how quickly this book increases in value, and so you could see a potential bump in this. The back cover, you can also see that same kind of like stacking bend or roll on the edge there. And so definitely one that I'm going to seriously consider having cracked out, pressed, resubmitted, and see if it has a potential at getting, you know, a 5.5, maybe even that, you know, like that 6 that I missed out on before. Now, like I said, the spine, you can't do anything about that type of wear. There's nothing that can, you know, fix that with pressing or cleaning or anything like that. But a lot of that other stuff you can, and I'd say this book definitely has some potential. So I'm pretty happy with that, because I wasn't expecting that. And so that's why I always check every graded book that I get. When I get it, I look at it and I see if I think it has a potential to increase in grade. But the thing you have to always remember there is, just because you could get it to increase in grade doesn't necessarily mean it's worthwhile to get the book cracked out, pressed, regraded, because there's a lot of cost that goes into that. Getting the book pressed, you know, say it's $20 to $30, something like that, depending on if you're doing fast track or whatever. And then the regrading, because CGC knows how much this book costs, you know. So if they don't, if you haven't noticed, they often will check values of books now, and they'll charge you more after the fact if you put it in the wrong tier. And so this would have to go into the express tier. It's over $1,000 book. If this book comes back a 5.0, 5.5, whatever, there's no way they're gonna let me put this into the standard. I might try, and they might let it through, but I'm almost certain they'll end up upcharging me. And so it has to go through express, and then that costs $117. So it's $130, but I get 10% off. So $117 plus the $5 handling fee, all that kind of stuff. And so you've got a lot of extra cost that then goes into it, and you have to decide, are you getting enough value out of the book for the cost and the time that you spent getting it regraded? Now, let's take a look at what is in here. And so this one, it came in a really large box, and so I didn't want to store that box around while I was waiting to open it. So I took it out of that, and now, so I didn't remember what was in here. Oh, now I do. Okay. This is an awesome one. All right. I might actually like cut back into the earlier in the video to say this is an awesome unboxing. So there's a big book in here. There's some smaller books and then a really big book. I was not originally intending to pick this one up, but it felt like too good of a price to pass up. And if I say this all the time. This is how I approach buying and selling comics. If I never go, I don't buy comics with money I don't have, you know, and so I sell comics and I use that money to buy comics. And then I focus a lot on price, you know, what I'm paying for that book. And if I think something seems like it's a deal based on current prices, and I have the money to buy it, I buy that book. And that is often why I don't have the money to buy really big books. You know, that's why I don't have an X-Men 1 or a Fantastic Four 1 or an Amazing Fantasy 15, anything like that, because I end up buying all these other books when I see them for discounts. Now, every once in a while, I end up picking up a big book, and so that was like that Tech 168 up there and the Wonder Woman, you know, 1. You know, every once in a while it does happen, but not very often. So let's start with, I guess we'll go smallest to largest in here. And the first book, this I picked up just because, 1, it felt like a good price. 2, it is one of my favorite covers. I've had it once before and I ended up selling it, and I decided to pick this one up. This is Infinity Gauntlet number 4. I grew up reading Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity crossover stories. It was just one of my favorite things. It's what I grew up with, and it's why I loved the Avengers storyline that they did with Thanos so much. But I've always thought this is just such a badass cover. I love this cover. And it's one of those books that outside of a 9.8, it really doesn't have all that much value. Even in a 9.8, it's not a real expensive book. Maybe $150, $170, something like that. But such a cool cover. Just a fun book, awesome book to have in a 9.8. Just real cool Thanos cover with the black background. Love it. Now, the next one, I actually have maybe 3 copies of this now, 2 or 3. And so this one I picked up because I think it's a decent spec book, because the prices have come down some. I think they're going to go back up. It is a fan favorite character. This is his second appearance, and this is Journey into Mystery number 88. This is the second appearance of Loki. His first appearance is in Journey Mystery number 85. That book, super expensive, but both of them have been coming down some since his show. And so we know we're getting another season. I think they will. I don't know if they'll keep using him after that, but he's such a great character. I hope they do. And so this is a second appearance, much more affordable than that first appearance, probably about 10 times less than that first appearance. But still, cool cover. He's right on the front, battling Thor on the Rainbow Bridge. And so it felt like a good deal when I saw this one, decided to pick it up. It's got a little damage on the back. It's missing that piece out of the corner there. But in general, from the front here, you can see, that's why it's the 3.5, because it is a very nice presenting 3.5 from the front. Now, the next one, I've had a number of books from this run. I actually still have a number of books from this run. I had never had this one before, and I finally was able to get a copy of it. Again, felt like a great price, so I decided to pick it up, and I like this run. This run has a lot of cool covers, and this is Ghost Comics number 1. This is a Maurice Whitman cover. He did most of the covers. I don't think he did all of them, but most of the covers from this run. These are all these pre-code horror, and I call them, the good girl art type covers. And all of them have that type of theme. My favorite issue is issue number 6. I think that's the coolest cover from the run. It's just a crazy cover. And but all of them have great content, just cool content, and there's a big price range. So if you want to get into pre-code horror, Ghost Comics is a really good run to go after, because there are some that are very expensive and some that are very affordable. And so there's a lot of options with this run. All right, now the last one. This is the big boy of this unboxing. And like I said, I was not planning to buy this book. I had it on my watch list, and I was watching it, and based on what I figured the value, and it's a tough one to value because it is a Golden Age book, what I figured the value was, this felt like it was way below that, what it was selling for, so I put in a bid. Nobody bid back. So it's one of these situations, I've joked about this with some of my friends before, I'm like, I guess I own the book now. So you got to pay that bill, and then they send you the book. So this is Superman number 9, and it is in a 6.5. It is a beautiful copy of this book. This is, I think, one of the best early Superman covers. There's an awesome cover of him busting through that, the page, and just because some of the early Superman covers, there's not a lot of action on them. They feel kind of static, but this one, really cool. He's got the cool S symbol on his chest there, real bright yellows. It's got the little kind of like the date written up there, which I think is awesome. It's 1941, 6.5. Even the back, like that back is incredible. The yellows on there, just incredible. And so I was like, oh, I guess I own this book now. So like I said, it's just, I'm very happy to own it, one I was not expecting to own. I'm not a huge Superman fan, but I did like how Henry Cavill played him. Despite all the negatives that, like Batman versus Superman and Justice League got, I have liked how Henry Cavill has played the character. And so looking forward to see what they do moving forward. But Superman number 9, 6.5 from 1941, just an incredible book. Real happy to add that one to the collection. I have had a few Superman books over the years. I've sold most of them. I had an issue number 10, which is the first time you see Lex Luthor without his hair, which I think is a fun little thing. I've had issue, I think, number 4, which I believe is the third or fourth appearance of Lex Luthor. and I have currently an Action Comics number 19. That is my earliest Superman book, and that's why I've kept that one, because I wanted to keep what the earliest book I had from Superman, and so that's an Action 19 at the moment. It is currently with my presser. It's probably going to grade a 1.0. I'm hoping a 1.0 and not a 0.5, because it's really beat up, but it's complete. It has detached cover, all this kind of stuff. But I respect Superman as a character, a hero from the history of comics. It's just not a character that I've been into as much. I'm more of a Batman collector, but I mean, that is an iconic cover, and it's one of those things when you have it in person, it's really an impressive book. Real excited to have this one. So hope you enjoyed this video, saw some books maybe that you haven't seen before, like the Scooby-Doo Number One, and I don't know, like the Superman number 9. I feel like that one doesn't come up very often. If you did, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.